Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Hi, I'm Terry Sullivan and welcome to the Sticks radio show here on Seclo Sounds, bringing you interviews and news from the world of entertainment around hearts, beds and bucks. The Sticks magazine is the most talked about what's on and lifestyle guide covering hearts, beds and bucks. You can read it or subscribe for free by going to www.the-sticks.co.uk. Guest on today's Sticks radio show is inspiration and country singer Charlie Landsborough. We'll talk to him after we've heard a track from his very latest album called Silhouette. This is I Could Never Stop You Loving Me.
All those years I stumbled through, getting most things badly wrong. God knows what I did to you, but through my weakness you were strong. I chose the words that hurt you most, and I'm ashamed to say that often when you needed me, I chose instead to walk away. I must have brought you tears, but you got no sympathy. Yet no matter what I did, I could never stop you loving me. You carried on your slender frame, the burden of my wayward years. With gentleness you overcame the power of my doubts and fears. I must have caused such pain. How wrong can one fool be? And yet for all I did to you, I could never stop you loving me. At your feet, and I surrender to the love that turned my bitter into sweet. I must have caused such pain. How wrong can one fool? For all I did to you, I could never stop you loving me. I must have caused such pain. How wrong can one fool be? And yet for all I did to you, I could never stop you loving me. And yet for all I did to you, I could never stop you loving me.
Today on the show I have multi-award winning inspirational country artist Charlie Landsborough. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm smashing, thanks, Teddy. Good to be with you, mate.
That's great. I mean, a lot of people associate country music with America, and you're certainly not an American, are you? And
Well, no, some people get me confused. I mean, my son was pulled up for speeding by a cop down the road from where I live, which is obviously Merseyside, and he said, what's your name, son? He said, Jamie Landsborough. He said, oh, like the American country singer. He said, who's that? He said, Charlie. He said, it's me dad. He only lives around the corner. So I get mistaken for Americans, and I might get mistaken for being Irish because I got my success there, but I only have to open my mouth, and that dispels all sort of myths.
Well, it does slightly, doesn't it?
It does a bit.
I mean, it's lovely to have you on the show this morning. You're doing something which I think is very, very sort of commendable, something I've not seen anybody else do. You're doing a amateur choir challenge.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that.
Okay.
My manager keeps telling me to, but I said no, it was completely his idea. It's my brother-in-law, my manager as well. He was in this local golf club, and there was a choir on and this sort of seed germinated in his brain. He saw how choirs were becoming popular, and he thought, I know what we'll do. We'll have a competition open to all ages and all, all denominations, and mixed choirs, men's choirs, from children to sort of older citizens and everything. And what they do is they pay £25 as an entry fee, which goes to children in need. And they send their entry into a local paper or a local station, and there'll be some impartial person will select what they think is the best, and they will perform on stage with us in a local venue. And then at the end of it all, whoever is deemed the winner, we'll give them £1,000. And I suppose it's a no-lose situation because children in need will get some much-needed funds. The choirs will get the added sort of bonus of performing on some of the big stages to our audience. And of course, and I'm dedicating whatever royalties I receive from a song called Special, which I wrote for children, to the cause for children in need. And of course, in a slightly selfish way, we hope that it will introduce my music to a wider audience, because they've got to come on and sing a song of their own choosing and one of mine. So there is a bit of a repertoire there. I hope every choir will find something.
Yeah, they can find details of it on both my website, which is www.the-sticks.co.uk, and they can also find it on yours, the details of and an entry form there as well, isn't there, Charlie?
That's right. It's just www.charlielandsborough.com.
That's great.
Very straightforward and simple, but I think it's I'm looking forward to it immensely because it's a format I never deemed my songs would ever be heard in. And I heard it one choir once a number of years ago in Dublin did one of my songs, and I thought it was fantastic. So it's going to be a bit of a revelation to me to hear, and I hope they don't all pick the same songs. Listening from the wings, it's going to be great for me to hear all these different interpretations.
We must tell everybody they must get their entries in by the end of July. Is that correct?
That's correct, mate.
So you've got to get it all sorted out.
Yeah.
Well, get away from that now. You obviously you come from the Merseyside area, which must have been quite sort of interesting when you were a young man. Merseyside throws up lots.
Yeah, I grew up with my happy knack of being in the wrong place at the right time and vice versa. I was playing the guitar in a local band, and I got fed up living on Merseyside and thought I'll join the Navy, the Royal Merchant Navy, where my brothers all sailed for, and couldn't get into school, so tried to join the Royal Navy. The office was closed, so I went round the corner and joined the army. And when all of Merseyside was lit up with the Beatles and all the other Mersey big bands, I was languishing in some remote part of Germany and missed the boat completely, but it worked out right in the end,
Because your dad was a singer, is that right?
My dad was a great ballad singer. He just stood there still. I mean, the house I grew up in was fantastic because everybody sang me. Mother sang me. Father was billed locally as the silver voice tenor. My brothers brought back the first guitars we'd seen in Birkenhead and the early songs of Hank Williams and Jimmy Rogers. So I had all these manifold sort of influences from Bing Crosby to sort of Hank Williams, and Gracie Fields, my mother used to sing as well. And in the house we had a whole pile of animals. We had lovebirds from Africa, we had chickens in the back, we had a duck which attacked everybody, dogs and cats, and we even had a monkey. But it was a phenomenal house to grow up in, and I got several Christmases a year because my brothers all sailed off at different times, and every time they returned, they brought me gifts from all over the world, you know, carved boats from Africa, silk jackets from Japan, guitars from Spain. So it was an incredibly good household to grow up in.
You had a great time. But when you were in the army, I mean, like most musicians, they get to travel when they become famous. You seem to travel before you sort of even thought about music, because you Hong Kong and...
Well, I put down, when I joined the army, I thought, where's the furthest place from Birkenhead? I thought, I'm going to get away, as far away as possible. I love where I come from, but at that time I just wanted to get somewhere very distant, because I'd seen my brothers coming back with these wonderful tans and great clothes, and I thought, the rest of the world must be fantastic. So I put down when I joined the army for Hong Kong, and they sent me with typical army logic to Germany, but I had a fantastic time there, learned a bit of the language, and played in bands there. And when I left, I got a call from the bass player in the band and asked me to go back. So I went back and played in a rock band for about a year, and come home and get married, you know. But yeah, I was a bit of a lad.
Yeah. Was that the Rock Avens when you played?
Amongst others, yeah, we had one. There was the Rock Avens, which was one of the main ones. You're well researched, mate. The Onions.
Yeah, the Onions. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very strange name, but it was good fun, and I was doing the thing that I loved most. And all through my life, although I did all these host of other jobs, the dream was always a musical one. I wanted a life in music. It wasn't for the fame or the fortune, although the money's great when you get a few bob. It was because I loved the music so much. Because
you were in the Cuban Missile Crisis, weren't you? You were very close to that at one point.
I was, yeah. We were only a few miles from the East German border, and somebody'd read a document in in the army offices said we were only expected to last 5 days. I don't think we would have lasted that. And I thought, well, I'm going to be dead tomorrow, so I'll go into town and have a few beers and come to terms with it, you know. And on my way back, we were in a NATO area, so all the camps I was walking through, the Germans and the Danes and the Yanks and all the rest of it, there was a hive of activity with flashlights on, and people loading arms and ammunition. And I thought, this is definitely going off, you know. And when I got to our camp, absolute still, silence. And when I got into my room, what were our lads doing? They were walking around polishing the floor and polishing locker knobs for an inspection in the morning. I said, this is marvellous. We're on the brink of a world war and we're polishing the floor and stuff.
Wow.
I said, if the Russians came, they'd say, I tell you what, they weren't much soldiers, but they kept the place nice.
That's typical British, though, isn't it, really? You could...
But it was, thankfully, it never came to pass and survived, thank God.
That's good. Well, when you left the army, you came back to Birkenhead, you were jobless, and then you went off to Coventry, and you were a postman for a while.
I did. I went down with an army mate of mine, and I thought, well, I'll get a job in the car factories and make a fortune. And when I got down there was no work anywhere, and I was wandering the streets. I was down and out for about a week or so, with walking the streets with like a tanner in my hand each day, and I got a job on the post because all the men were working in the car factories, and a lot of the postal workers were women. So I got a job on the post there and walked the streets again.
You're getting paid for it this time. That's even better, isn't it? And then you went back to Germany again, didn't you? You went back to Germany.
Yeah, I went back and played. I arrived there. We hitchhiked there.
Really?
I arrived there with the equivalent of like an old £half a crown in my pocket, and the band, who'd never seen me before, the bass player had asked me to come. The rest of the band didn't know me. They said, do you know any Tamla Motown? I said, no. Do you know any of this? And everything they asked me, I said, no. They were looking at him as if to say, what have you brought him for? And in the end, he said, do you know any Ray Charles? I said, I know Georgia. He said, well, sing that. So I sang Georgia, and thank God for Hoagie Carmichael. That got me the job. And they gave me about 20 records and said, learn a whole pile of numbers by the weekend. And I was in, but it was great fun, and I was young enough to live rough and enjoy it. You know?
No pressure then, no.
No.
And it was in when you were in Dortmund, you met your lady wife.
Well, it was. I came home from the army. I can't remember exactly, but I met her. She lived in the next street to me, but she used to always go off to these to Chester, which was far more snooty and posh than where I lived, you know. And she didn't even look at us lot. But when I come home this time, I looked reasonably smart. I had German gear on, and I got it up for a dance, even though I can't.